Okay, welcome back. So I was going to be playing some Minecraft, working some more on the Agrarian Skies playthrough, but I ran into an issue today when I was updating that caused I think it was an update for Curse that caused it to stop working, and I get like a weird startup exception. So I tried fixing it by reinstalling. Didn't seem to work. I have the save backed up, so it should be alright once I figure out whatever is going on. But I figured instead I could work a little bit more on doing the lock and key stuff. So let me just get a drink quick. Okay, so today we can work on adding a really basic item and see how that goes for us. We're not going to be worrying about the graphics for it right now. We can give that a go a little bit later. But let's get going. So we go back to our IntelliJ, and we're going to start with adding a new package just for the items. We'll call it item. I would have preferred to do plural namings, making it items, but it seems like the general convention is to make it singular, so we're going to go with that to make things more consistent for people. We're gonna start very simply. I would like to make an API for this, but we don't need to worry about that just yet. So we're gonna start with just making it a really generic base class. Well, actually, we're gonna call it base item, and this is going to be doing any mod-specific type stuff that we might need. And it's going to extend the item class that comes from Minecraft. Okay, so this then, we can, let's take a look at what the item class actually has as a constructor. See if there's any things that we want to overload right away. We want to set the unlocalized name, that's for sure. So we're going to make sure that all of our items extend or implement their unlocalized name. And we can do super just in case. Set unlocalized name to be unlocalized name. So that's done. We're not going to worry about the max stack size. That could be set per item. Container item. No, I think that's all fine. Yeah, I think that's going to be okay for that. But there is one other thing. So you would know if you play in creative mode that there's special tabs for each individual item. And when you get to modding, you find that there's an individual tab usually per mod in the creative menu. So we want to add our own creative tab. And so we can do create a new class, call it creative tab. And we're going to put it in here. And it's going to extend the creative tabs class that comes from Minecraft, oddly enough. And it has a constructor that we need, and it's got a method. So there's two constructors we can take. One it takes in an integer index and a label for that's a string. It can figure out the index on its own, so we're going to go with just the string version. And we don't want this abstract. We do want the get tab icon item method. That's a mouthful. We don't care about this. We can figure out the name based off of our mod, lock and key, and we can do the name. So that's that. We're going to leave this as null for now because we don't have an item. This will crash if you launch it. You need to specify an item. It could just be stone or diamond or whatever you wanted, but we're going to worry about that a little bit more later. So we can set creative tab, and the creative tab we can add to our main mod class. I'm kind of jumping all over, I know. So we can make this a constant value. Creative tab. We need to set a type, don't we? New creative tab. There we go. So now we have a creative tab instance. We can do there. So now whenever we get a new item, it'll automatically be on our creative tab. And you could just change this up a little bit and make it so that there are multiple creative tabs, but we're fine with just the one. So that's going to be good enough for now. We're going to add our first item, and we will call it item lock. And we're going to start with calling it item just because that's, again, a convention that I've noticed, and we want to keep with general conventions because it makes it easier for other people to understand our code, which is always super important because you tend to read code more than you write it. So you should always make your code more readable than anything else. 1 second. There we go. So I'll create that, and since we have a base item class, we're going to extend that. And it's going to require a constructor, and we will call this quite simply lock. We will make, as part of our, if we go back to our README, we said that we were going to have multiple materials as an option. Somewhere in here. Oh yeah, here you go. We wanted to be able to use multiple materials. And we're not going to worry too much about that right now. We want to start simply and then add more complexity later once we have things working. So we're going to ignore the material for now. Eventually we'll add that here in subclasses and all that, but we don't need to worry about that just yet. We also we have to register our items, and the way we're going to do that is we have this method already created. So we just need to actually do something with that. We're going to make another method here that registers a single item, and that'll just be because if we want to do any special steps for each item, we can do that. Like if we want to log that we're going to do it, or if we have to make multiple calls, it's simpler to add it here rather than rewrite everything later. So we're just going to do that now. Item, and we're going to say game registry. We're going to register an item. We're not going to worry about the mod ID or any of, well, we can. Well, yeah, we'll use the longer form. Item.get. We're going to use the unlocalized name just because it's easier. And then we can do lock and key, and we're going to get the mod ID. See? That's all we needed to do. And we don't need to do, at the very least, even if this is the only action we take per item, this is a lot of typing we don't have to do now, which is going to be great. And we also want to have a reference that we can keep this around with. But for now, I guess we'll just put it on the proxy. It's probably not the best. Well, actually, no. We're going to make an item registry. That'll be probably best. I'm kind of doing this free form if you hadn't noticed, but we're going to call this the lock and key items. And this is just going to be a registry of items that we can get references to later. So we're going to make the constructor for this private so that nobody can get an instance to it. I mean, it's just me doing the coding, but I can't make a mistake then later, or if somebody else decides to do anything with it, they can't make a mistake doing this, so just a good idea to protect it. And it's going to take it's going to have a reference to each item. We'll just make this the general item class, and we're going to say that it's called lock, and it's going to get a new reference, which will be new item lock. So now we have our object. We can go back here and do register, and we will get our lock and key items dot lock. Pass that through. Import that. Okay. So now we have our item registered in the game. We probably want to test it, but to make things easier to find it with, we need to go back to our creative tab and assign an item. And since we have an actual item now, we can do that much more easily. So lock and key items dot lock. We'll use that. That's fine. So we have a non-functional item, and we have registered in the game, so we should be able to start that up. Let it get building, and then we can test it out. Building, building, building. Should be just about done. Probably, well, I could add the title bar because it shows up for me, but I don't think it matters that much that the title bar is not there, so I won't worry about it. Loading, loading, loading. And again, this is going to be an untextured item, but that's okay for testing for now. Okay, so we'll create a new world. We'll go into creative mode. We'll make it a flat world just because it doesn't matter. Allow cheats, that should be all fine. I'm sorry about the pinging, somebody's messaging me. Okay. Well, we can go to difficulty and we'll just make it peaceful. Alright, so we have a nice flat world. And if we go here, well, we have a new group, or a new tab, and we have an item named item.lock, and that's what it is so far. So I think we'll leave that there for now, and in the next episode we will start worrying about adding in either a texture, or we can go ahead and do some more functionality. I might do the functionality just because it's a little bit more interesting, and while it is nice having it so you can actually see something as a result of the work, like a nice lock looking icon, I'm not sure that it's worth the amount of time just yet, and we can do far more fun things just worrying about the functionality. Let's see. Trying to get it to show. Okay, so we'll commit our changes quick, and then we will call it an episode. I'm trying to keep them shorter. The first one was more just that long because that's how long it took to get everything set up. Add base lock item. This does not account for different materials or a texture or any kind of functionality. Okay, we'll push this. Alright, yeah, so I'll figure out exactly what we're going to do next. It's probably going to be just functionality. I think that's going to be more interesting. Plus, the texture, I can just show you now the texture that I have. It's not terribly interesting. I've been told by some people that I need to get a better texture, but actually, maybe I can't. I'll have to figure that out. Yeah, I'll get a texture going soon, and we can go from there. Alright, so see you guys later.